I'll start with the underdrawing with what is probably my favorite instrument that I own. This is a mechanical pencil from the German brand Diplomat. It was bought in 1986 from a Yugoslav market from one of my dad's friends. And he gifted it to my dad, who used it for many years until he gifted it to me while I was in school. I've used it ever since without any issues. It never required any maintenance, any cleaning. The plastic still looks in impeccable shape, so I'm very fond of it. It really does not compare to any other mechanical pencil that I've bought from any other prestigious or more established brand. The paper that I'm using is from the French brand Sennelier. It's a panoramic size, a very interesting format, hot pressed and 100% cotton. It's a very pleasant texture that allows me to move colors quite freely, and it also allows me to work very finely. At this stage, my drawing is rather direct. The only things that I'm thinking about are the center of the page, general proportions, organic shapes, and perspective lines, how it would look to the viewer, how to draw it in order to create the illusion of depth. And later on, when I will play with the watercolors, I will be able to see the fine details a lot more clearly. This process is very enjoyable because it allows me to fully immerse myself in the atmosphere, in the moment of the place or the space that I'm painting. And I really love the quote from Glenn Vilppu that you can't really see something unless you draw it. When you draw something, an entity, like an object, you are fully immersed into that small universe and you see things that you would otherwise not be able to see. Now, for such a painting, you don't need more than one, maximum 2 brushes, but I'll be experimenting a little bit with these Da Vinci brushes. I'll be writing the numbers in the description below. This brush, which is made of horse and goat hair, which is excellent for calligraphic painting. It allows you to work with fine details, draw fine lines, and of course, as usual, with my Nevskaya Palitra watercolor palette. I'm also going to be using a larger round brush from Da Vinci. I'll share everything in the description. Now, there's not much I can share about my approach in painting. It's nothing new or different, at least compared to the videos that I shared here on YouTube previously. I usually like to add a layer of water or even soak the paper in water for the background, because when I add the pigment, it allows it to be absorbed in a very diffused and beautiful way, which allows me to put layers that add depth, and the glazing effect in watercolor is something that always attracts me to this medium. Now, regarding the details, there's 2 main approaches that I use. And one is to put paper on the page every time I want to block in some color or put several colors and I want them to melt into each other. Or to use a very saturated brush and then diffuse the edges with a clean, wet brush. A good example for this is the terminator line, which is very important, as you will see in the later stages of the painting. The terminator line is never a straight line, it's never a harsh line. Harsh lines don't really exist in reality. And so I have to diffuse it to allow this visual transition from light to shadow and shadow to light. And I think the last and probably the most important piece of advice that I can give you is to continue in the mindset of drawing. You will continue to draw until the very end of the painting. There's no difference. The brush acts like a pencil. It's small nuances that make the difference. You can still use calligraphic brushstrokes, you can still use hatching, you can play with water to get more natural effects, but in the end, it's still drawing. You're still constructing something. You're constructing a shape. You think about the rules of light and shadow, and I made some videos on chiaroscuro and I made some drawings in chiaroscuro, which is the high contrast between light and shadow. I really love this approach because I feel like the intensity of light, which I'm so fascinated by, this is a central piece in my drawings, light. The intensity of light is given by the intensity of the shadows.